Hey, it's Miles at Tactical Hyve, and it's Thursday, so that means it's a live fire episode. On Monday, we started to talk about now multiple shot engagements, and we talked how leverage is going to help you be faster and more accurate. So we're going to continue off of that in this session by talking about live fire exercises that will help you improve. All right, so I have a target in front of me. It's about 4 yards away. It doesn't matter the distance here, and really it doesn't even matter the size of the target, just something that you can hit. And we're going to be working on multiple shot engagements. So now we have to isolate what we talked about on Monday. I'm already live here and hot. There's one in the chamber, one in the magwell here, and I'm going to face this downrange. But I'm going to be talking about everything that we discussed to drive in the point and then show you the specific exercises that I would recommend you do to ensure you have good leverage. So the firing hand here, I talked about how if your firing hand is low on the gun, see how I'm exaggerating the space here, okay? Notice this, when I take a shot, see how much it flips. So that gun goes up really, really high. I'm hitting my target, but in order to be accurate on the second shot, I have to slow down and make sure my sights are back on there. Now, if I'm high here, nice and tight, notice the difference in the flip of the gun. It is very minimal compared to the first instance, and my sights are immediately back on target. Notice I'm going to take 2 shots quickly with a high and tight grip. Okay, and notice the shots are pretty close together in a very good group. I'm going to take 2 shots rapidly and try to also, with a bad grip here, with bad leverage, and try to get them close to one another. But it'll require me to slow down. So those are about the same size, but notice how much slower it was because there was a lot more space and the gun flipped more because I did not have maximum leverage. So what I want you to do here is, for the live fire today, is you do not need to do this from the draw. Because we are focusing on the grip, I want you to hyper focus. Forget everything else. Until you perfect this, don't add layers of complexity. So what I want to do here is, remember, we're going to be taking multiple shots. All right? And you need to do so in a rhythm or speed that does not become just multiple single shots, okay? Notice the difference here. This is what I mean by multiple single shots. That's multiple single shots. This is multiple shots. So there's not a large gap in between. Now, you don't have to go that fast, but you're gonna understand your skill level. You're gonna understand if you're going way too slow, right? So what you wanna do is you're going to get a good grip here, and you're going to get high and tight. And what I'd like you to do is we're just going to focus on the firing hand. You're going to take 2 shots at a comfortable pace. Remember, not multiple single shots. And what we're looking out for is the grouping, the size of your grouping on your target. And the more you improve your leverage over the gun, the more the grouping should close, or the faster your time should be if you have a shot timer. Now, I'm going to not talk about that right now, the shot timer. Later on, eventually we will in this series. So you're going to marry your hands. You can even start from here. You're prepping your trigger, and you're going to take 2 shots, hyper focusing on staying high and tight with your firing hand. That's a comfortable pace, okay? You don't have to go any faster than that if you don't want to. If you can go faster than that, then that could show you some deficiencies. But what I am mentally doing is hyper focusing on getting nice, high and tight grip with this hand. Keep in mind, as a caveat, like I said, there's a lot of things we can cover, all right? And in this series, we're just doing bits and pieces. So if you're still having a hard time, or things are not making sense, like maybe your shots are still off, remember, baby steps, okay? We can't cover every single thing, okay? So it's just little by little. So you want to hyper focus on this, and then if you stick with this series, as we add more things, things are going to gel, and it's going to be easier for you. You're going to see marked improvement in your shooting. So you're taking 2 shots here. Reset and prep. Remember, just like we talked about, we're not forgetting the fundamentals we talked about in the previous videos. Then when I'm done, finger off the trigger, I can go to compress ready. I am also paying attention to see if when I shot after, did my grip start to break? Did my grip start to go down? That means I didn't have a firm grip. Okay, so I want to make sure that I start here and it ends here. So I don't want to shoot and then all of a sudden after the rep, it's down here. Okay, so that is with the firing hand. You're just doing reps of this and ensuring that you have good leverage and the leverage doesn't break as you take multiple shots. So that's the firing hand. The second hand here is the support hand. We already talked about this. Get that thumb out of the way so that you can get a good purchase, good grip on the left side here, because that thumb is in the way, it is a hindrance. So now what we want to do is get nice, high and tight. Now the focus will be on my support hand. So you've done reps with the strong hand, the firing hand. Now I'm going to use my support hand. And my support hand pressure, we're not going to dive into the weeds here, but it should be firm pressure. You should have more pressure with your support hand than your firing hand, okay, generally speaking, okay, for most people. So I don't want to do the opposite where I'm squeezing really tight with my firing hand, but there's very little pressure with my support hand. So I have high leverage with my firing hand. I'm going to get high and tight with my support hand. And now I'm prepping my trigger. Everything is the same. I should have more pressure with my support hand. And I'm going to take 2 shots, not multiple single shots. And notice what I'm going to do after I break these shots here. So now what I want to do, finger out the trigger, I'm going to see, did my support hand break? Meaning right now it's good, but what you want to look out for is, did my support hand start going low? That means you didn't have a good vise there. You need to grip harder so that it stays there. Because imagine if you're taking 6 shots and your grip starts going low, that means you're losing leverage with every shot. Okay, so now we're focusing on support hand. That's it, okay? 1 shot was off there, wasn't really paying attention. I was thinking about actually what I was gonna say. But the idea here, my grip didn't break. So after you do that rep, finger up the trigger, take a look, did anything break, okay? So you can do that for as many reps as you're comfortable, but start off slow. It's methodical here, meaning the learning doesn't happen from throwing down lots of rounds and looking at the target. The learning, you could actually do this, we're focusing on grip, without even a target. Okay, you could, just to see if your grip breaks apart. Then if your grip's not breaking apart, then you could look and see what the groupings are like. Because if you have a good grip, remember, technically speaking, with all components in place, your group is going to start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So give this a try. If you did the dry fire, you should mentally be there. But now since we're shooting rounds, you're going to feel that little explosion. And that's going to show some deficiencies in your grip if you're not holding firmly enough, or if you're not really high enough in your grip. Later on, we'll talk about how the timer also is going to help us understand if we have good leverage over the gun, because if you have good leverage over the gun, your split times between shots should technically get faster as well. So that wraps up this week's live fire session. Again, we are now working on multiple shot engagements, and the first principle when it comes to a good grip to manage multiple shots is to have maximum leverage over the gun and not the other way around. We do not want the gun to have leverage over you. So give those tips a try, and as always, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to comment and subscribe.